Hello and welcome to the Underpowered channel. This is a gaming podcast that you're listening to where even when we're busy, we still find time to game. We talk Pokemon trading cards, we talk video games, and it is JRPG July. My name is Shelby Stokes, and joining me today is my faithful co-host, Casey Cool.
Hello.
And back again is Wade, as you may know him as Professor Noctis. Welcome back.
Wade, thank you for coming back, Professor. One of my favorite shows is when we had you on and we talked about your path to education and Final Fantasy, having the coolest class ever.
It was so fun.
We learned and it wasn't even scary at all.
No.
That's what we try to do, you know. Also, I've got to comment on your intro music. That's a bop. Oh my god!
Thanks, man.
I'm just like vibing over here. I was like, okay, let's do this.
That's the Healy Brothers. I bought that in 2020 from them for $34, and it's the best $34 I've ever spent.
Well spent. That's great. I love that.
Shout out to the Healy Brothers. They got a bunch. Everyone, if you're looking to start a podcast or
right on,
or just want to listen to their YouTube channel, I would recommend it.
Also, it's so good.
Yeah. It's hard finding, like you're making YouTube videos now, and I'm sure like you maybe had to deal with copyright strikes. Finding music that you can use and not get in trouble for is really hard. Unless you go to Kevin MacLeod. Somehow he's made 1 billion songs. I don't know how that guy's done it, but yeah.
Somehow I lean into that fair use education component. That's a big one for me. So
yeah, I find that even YouTube will be like, hey, you can use this. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then they'll flag you with it just randomly, like 3-6 weeks later. You're like, oh, no, you can't use this. And you're like,
yep. They do.
Yeah.
Make sense.
I mean, like if when we start making money on our YouTube videos, it'll be kind of rough. But yeah.
Enrique's in the chat with us today. Cheers to you, Eric. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so like I kind of introed with JRPG July, but I haven't been doing a lot of the JRPGs. Have you guys?
No, it's been a tradition here, and you're like, I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I think there's an argument that is Tears of the Kingdom a JRPG.
I know, like you're not even leveling up.
Is that the key?
I mean, you get hearts and stamina.
Hearts are leveling up, yeah.
Like a level up.
Yeah.
You're progressing. Right? There's a story.
It's like they don't show you the level up of the stats, right? Other than just a heart or something. So
your weapon
happening on the back end.
Yeah. You're tinkering with weapons. Your weapons get stronger, right? Just like that.
Yeah. But if you put like a sponge on the end of it or whatever.
Right.
So.
The JRPG
I haven't had the Zelda moment where he like falls down and he goes, if I just try a little bit harder and believe in myself, I can overtake the boss.
The anime moment? Yes.
It feels like they're building to it. I still haven't finished Tears quite yet. But
yeah. Well, I'm sure you've had to like have your fangs deep into Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I have, and I still haven't finished it. So I mean, I'm 71 hours in, and I'm not done with FF16 yet. So,
are you enjoying it? Tell me about it.
You want to do that now? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get right into it. We can talk about Shelby's Thailand trip anytime.
I really enjoy Final Fantasy 16. And that's no surprise to anybody, right?
Yeah.
I love it. I find the story engrossing. I think there's a lot to discuss with the game, a lot of categorization discussion that we could have with the game. Is it an RPG? Is it a JRPG? Is it an action game? Is it Final Fantasy?
Is it Devil May Cry?
Is it Devil May Cry? Yes. Is it any of these things? But I'm really enjoying my time. I'm taking my time with it. I still have probably 150 hours to go before it reaches Final Fantasy 15 levels for me. But I probably won't be writing research on 16 to the extent of that one. So we'll see.
You never know. Well, this one, it's a departure in storytelling in that it's a very dark and heavy story, right? It's not like a.
Have you played any of it, either of you?
I have not.
Okay, so
I've missed him watching. Yeah,
they have leaned into the dark and heavy tones for the trailers and all of the PR material, but there are lighthearted moments in it. Now you're not going to have Blitzball, you don't have Chocobo Racing, but I mean it's still got that Final Fantasy lightheartedness to it.
Like it's got moments of comedy. You got a dog, you can pet the dog.
You can
right?
pet the Torgle, right?
Game of the year.
That's game of the year. And it's
Yeah.
and for me, I spend a great deal of time playing with their uniquely hidden photo mode. Like it's really hidden in the menus. So, but I play with the photo mode, and I have the best pictures of my goodest boy. I do, just like taking dog pictures by the lake, and it's nice.
I know.
That's awesome. No, this is the one that's kind of that has what is it? The Dragons show.
Bahamut?
No. Game of Thrones.
Game of
vibes.
Thrones.
Oh, Game of
Yes.
Thrones, the Dragon
Is
show.
that
The
correct?
Dragon show.
Yeah.
The one with the dragon lady.
The Dragon
It is
lady.
very inspired by Game of Thrones. In fact, I
Okay.
think that the developers were forced to watch all the seasons of Game of Thrones or something for the tone that they were really going for, and they did. I mean, the political intrigue among the nations and the characters is really, really evident. But then it's got that added Final Fantasy-ness to
Right.
it.
Well, I know Jeff Grubb from the Game Mess and Giant Bomb. He was like the first person, like, oh, it's really Game of Thrones, right? And he got raked over the coals by like, you're like, it's not. Now people are like, oh yeah,
Truth hurts. I mean, it's out there. Yeah, it's.
I think people have to understand just because something is inspired or like something, it's not bad, and it doesn't make it horrible. But
I mean, that kind of makes me want to play this game more, to be honest with you. Like, I admittedly have a lot of holes in my FF history. Like, I don't play all of them, but that kind of makes me think, oh, this might be time to jump back in and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then it is totally different from almost every other Final Fantasy. The closest that it kind of gets to is some of the darker tones in Final Fantasy 13 and really Final Fantasy 12, I would say.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 12 has some dark, like heavy
12
moments.
is really maybe the closest, now that I think about it, to this
What about
story.
Tactics?
Oh yeah, Tactics is all over this. If Tactics were in full 3D and had more blood, then yeah, this would be it. So that's actually maybe the best analogy. Tactics.
All right, I'm good. I'm good, guys.
Yeah.
I did it. No, well, Tactics was like, for me, even to this day as a kid, like, because it's about you standing up to the church and like the martyr. There's some really heavy-handed stuff, because I remember being 12 or 13. And it was a game that informed a lot of like storytelling elements. You're like, oh, wow, this game is going play. Because I went to Catholic school growing up, so like the idea of a heretic and stuff like that, like it was ingrained. I was like, oh, they're doing some heavy-handed. This is really interesting. And this was before Da Vinci Code, where like I think right, that was the
before it became popular to do
before
that,
it became cool to be like, maybe not everything's magic or whatever. I'm also the same kid at Catholic school that got in trouble for saying Jesus tastes bad. And
see, that's immediate hell points or whatever.
Yeah,
so
no, the nuns did not like it. We were doing the wafers. And I was like, why can't he be like a potato chip? And Sister Cabrini did not like that at all. And
nope, that does not.
It's hard to argue with nuns because they're married to God and then they don't care what you have to say. And
it's not really a dialogue there. It's more of a monologue.
It's more of a just shut up and listen and learn our story. Okay. But I was curious too. I think it also takes another note from Game of Thrones. It's kind of spicy, right? There's some intense romance.
First like 3 minutes, you get some pretty raunchy stuff. Like I mean, within like the first couple of minutes, I mean, we're talking one of the characters is essentially motorboating another character. It's something.
That's no joke. They were just like, nope, we're doing it, and we're gonna do it right now.
That was in the demo. You can play the demo right now and get that scene.
Shelby's already downloading it.
It is downloading as we speak. Oh man.
Absolutely. I mean, they do take it to those kind of Game of Thrones-esque levels. Now, there's no full nudity, but I mean, you get a lot of like side and implied nudity, and
a pan up to the moon every once in a while. Right?
They are living into that M rating, for sure.
Is this the first time it's been an M-rated game?
It is.
That's wild.
Do you feel like that's a good choice for the series?
I feel like it's a good choice for this game. I don't know if it is good for the series. Let's see. I guess the first one was Stranger of Paradise, which isn't a mainline Final Fantasy. Yeah. But you had like Jack Garland, Jack Final Fantasy, who's throwing out profanity every other phrase, and it's almost just like edgelord sort of stuff, whereas this is much more grounded, and the mature themes, they really befit the storytelling, I think, in a way that Stranger fumbled. So
because Stranger's like over the top, right? Like Michael
yeah,
Hyman
it's
really liked that game, I know, and I'd listen to him because but is the combat similar? Because like here's the thing to me about this game: people say Devil May Cry, it makes me think of Kingdom Hearts because it's like an action JRPG.
So Kingdom Hearts developers did assist in some ways in the battle system, but primarily it was the Devil May Cry guy. You know,
Okay.
he's the one that designed this battle system. Kingdom Hearts, it is reminiscent of that in some ways, but I would say it is much more nuanced and developed. It plays. I think Devil May Cry is a perfect example and analog for this battle system. But for me, it's a blast. It is so much more fun, I think, than Stranger of Paradise's battle system. And I'm a fan of Stranger, so yeah.
How does this compare to the FF7 remake? Because they have a very active combat system as well. Is this kind of an evolution of that, or is it a departure from that?
A major departure from that. This is an action game. It is not turn-based in any respect, even in waiting around. So I liken 7 Remake to an action turn-based because you've got meters and like it stifles your abilities. Now, you have cooldowns to some degree with Final Fantasy 16, and you can think of that as like waiting your turn, but it really feels completely different than the evolution of the active time battle system in 7 Remake. Also, in 7 Remake, you're controlling every player in your party except for Red, who will be controlled in Rebirth, I guess. But you're only controlling Clive, and you can give like dog commands to Torgal, your dog. But the others are, it's almost like they're non-entities.
So it's actually like Secret of Evermore. No, that's a deep.
Honestly, that is not wrong. Like I've thought that a couple of times. I was like, this feels like what I would imagine Secret of Evermore would play today. So yeah, that's actually a great analogy.
Last week we were talking about we did random, like if you could have someone asked if we could get any JRPG remastered, because I was talking about I'm really hyped for the Super Mario one because that's a classic. But we had Sean on. He said Secret of Evermore. I think like the boy and his dog tale is there, and Torgal, like the internet goes wild for it. But okay, I think the big question I ask you is with the conversation. What isn't a JRPG now? If that's a JRPG, right? Like, is JRPG a bad thing to say? Are we bad for saying it? Because to me, I've always took it as a awesome thing. I've always loved them.
Yeah. So so the question is Final Fantasy 16 a JRPG, and also what is a JRPG?
Yeah.
And caveat, is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
sorry.
Okay, just making sure.
Very loaded. Very loaded.
A lot of questions.
Yes.
So I think that the source of the debate has been some of the developers that were working on Final Fantasy 16, and I think some of the other Final Fantasies as well, had kind of taken a little bit of issue with calling their games Japanese RPGs or JRPGs, primarily because they are Japanese companies. So they felt like there might be some kind of stigma to that. So they wanted to lean away from that. And I think that 16 is their best stab at breaking free from that JRPG like categorization. So hence the mature themes, hence the some of the very clearly Western influences in the game, really leaning into a lot more European and then I would say American development sensibilities as far as game design is concerned. So with the JRPG sort of traditions, I guess, I would think that Final Fantasy is beginning. Oh gosh, this will get me stoned. I think that Final Fantasy is deviating from the JRPG tradition, and I think Dragon Quest is going to be the pillar for Square Enix in the JRPG realm now.
I have that thought because they'll say, or Octopath is kind of taking that.
Yeah,
bit, right?
Octopath is doing something interesting in that it's a very retro style that's being reinvented. So they're doing a couple of really interesting things in that JRPG category. But as far as a cutting edge, brand new sort of experience that's going to push the boundaries of what a game can do, I think Dragon Quest is going to be our best bet from Square Enix.
Because is there talks right now too about Dragon Quest
12 is being worked on. I know that. So.
And someone said possibly it's going to be more mature, which I don't. There's
love to
mature
see it.
themes. I'd be curious to see. Like, let's see Akira Toriyama go dark. Like, yeah. So the art.
Yeah. What is Puff Puff in a mature game, right? Like, what's the? We're gonna see it. I don't know.
Yeah. Puff Puff is the motorboat scene.
It is.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's taking it and running with it.
So. They're like,
Puff and meet his friend Pass. Awesome. Cool.
Okay. Oh gosh. That's
much.
a whole different game. That's the Snoop Dogg edition. But okay, so you're loving it. You actually got to go and meet with a bunch of other creators too, right?
It was the coolest thing ever.
So tell us about that.
Back in June, there was an event in LA. You're pulling up my stuff. Yeah. So in LA, they hosted the Final Fantasy 16 launch event, and it was absolutely incredible. So many creators were there, and kind of celebrities. I mean, the voice actors for the game were there. Clive's voice actor, Ben Starr, was there, and a bunch of other people as well. So essentially, this event,
Maximilian and you.
Yeah, it was. He did a gameplay demo where
I watched that.
Also, I got so many comments on this saying, "Oh my gosh, he's so tall." So here's the thing: he is tall, but I am also fairly short, and so putting us together, I mean, it's like polar opposites there. Yeah, on camera, it's like you only see me from here, but yeah, that's great. Somebody was like, "Oh, he could put you in his pocket." It's like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So,
that's funny.
But the event itself, it was basically launching the game a week out. It launched the demo like that night, I think. And so they had interviews with developers. They had interviews with content creators. People were live streaming the game. And it was just like this wild experience, a party filled with people that love Final Fantasy. And it was a blast.
So, I mean, and then from there, you started making videos now. Right?
Yeah. So I was working. I was talking to some of all of my Twitter feed right now. This is like watching my life flash before my eyes.
Not here. I won't embarrass. Yeah. Like
no,
look
you're
at that
good.
tweet.
You're
and also,
good.
I'm pulling up this receipt here. You said no. Go ahead.
No. So. I was talking to some of these other content creators, and we were talking about all the things that we do, videos we make, streams and stuff. And they were like, "So what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I teach at the University of Alabama." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen some of your stuff." And then it like jogged in their mind, and they were like, "Why don't you do YouTube videos?" And I was like, "I don't know. I Twitch stream occasionally." And they're like, "Well, here's the thing about Twitch streaming. That's great if you've kind of built up an audience and a group,
you do it all the time.
And you do it all the time. And my schedule is just not consistent because of life and because of my jobs and all that kind of stuff." But they were like, "You've got some really interesting content. Have you considered making some YouTube videos? Because like some of your lectures, I bet would transition." And I have a lecture for my class called "What is Final Fantasy?" Because in my class, not everybody's a gamer. And so I've got to do an introduction to Final Fantasy. And coincidentally on Twitter, there were there was a question of what is Final Fantasy? Is Final Fantasy 16 really a Final Fantasy? And I was like, hey, I think I have something to contribute to this. I think that I could actually discuss this. So I put together this, I think it's 12-minute long video, and it has been it's been really, really amazing. People have like blown up in the comments. Thank you. You liked it. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's what we're talking about. So, but people have like subscribed, and like I went, I don't know. I think I've got like 600 or something subs right now.
I'm gonna hit that share button too to get you.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I appreciate it. But it's been bonkers. So like I put out this video. Usually my YouTube videos are like nothing, and I was like I've transitioned to stream over from Twitch or something, and this one has just been really. It's been met with a lot of positive reaction.
That's awesome.
It's been really cool.
Well, you obviously know what you're doing from teaching, and so giving a lecture series, I think it's like right for you as an educator. I want to see more of it. We kind of had that kind of moment too, because we've been trying to figure out on our end like, okay, Underpower, we're doing all these different. I do a D&D thing too. Like, so our channel is all gaming. We have the like, card games, video games, and tabletop. But like for us, we like doing the podcasting because our wives are cool with it and they let us talk about video games a couple times a week. We get to hang out.
You love it.
Get to talk to cool people like you. But the thing is, we found like with Twitch, to really build Twitch audience, it's a everyday like grind. It's not for us. YouTube is kind of like what we can make a product here, and sometimes we can be on Twitch, but you're gonna find us elsewhere. We figured that out too.
Yeah.
Being a grown up's hard, right? Like if we were just if Twitch was around when I was 18, my life would be on a very different trajectory.
I mean, I was having this conversation with somebody earlier, and like to keep up with the top level streamers on Twitch, like you are going hard, like 8 hours a day, 4 hours a day, and you're carving out like times that you can schedule it and have it on, and that's just not realistic. Like for some of us, like 4 hours a day is not in the cards.
I wish. My wife and kids would hate it. Yeah.
For sure. And what I've found with others who have kind of shared their story with me is that every one of them puts in that time early on, and then like it becomes a substantial moneymaker for them, and then they're able to do those kind of things. But for the rest of us, I mean, we've got jobs, right? We've got family obligations, relationship obligations, and all that. And so it's for me, I love that there's a Venn diagram between what I'm teaching and then what I'm able to kind of create as far as content. Because ultimately, my goal was not to really break into the Final Fantasy video making content creator stuff. My goal was to create a 12-minute homework lecture for my students so that they would watch it and then come to class ready to discuss. That was the goal. So it was making my life easier, and I think though
you got opportunities about, like, I know you love Final Fantasy IV, and like there's definitely correlation with Cecil or Cecil. Cecil if you're from England. And
I'm a Cecil guy personally.
Oh, if it's a lion, Cecil. But with Cecil, that there's like tons of, I'm sure, religious story correlation or character correlation for you there, because it's a religious studies class, right? Is what it. You teach?
It's a hybrid of theology.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Theology, religious history, and literature. So it kind of combines all three of those. So biblical, sacred literature, the history of sacred kingship that's in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Israel, and then finally theology of Judeo-Christian.
Yeah, and then and that bleeds all through Final Fantasy with like Odin and Bahamut and Leviathan, which is like old school Judaism. Monster. Yeah, like the monsters actually don't get enough credit from what they pull. Like Shelby, do you have any interest in playing 6 or 7? I know, like what's your
6 or 7 Final Fantasy?
16. This new one. New one that seems like up your alley more.
So Antari Oso in the chat says, "What is a JRPG?" And I think that the definition of JRPG has changed a lot. Like when we were growing up, it was kind of like a specific style of game where it was a party builder and an RPG, and you would take turns in a battling system. Like that is how I define JRPG, just because I grew up in defining it that way. So in terms of like me being attracted to these new titles, I'm more attracted to them because my problem with JRPGs historically has been the time to credits on those games. Like I feel like I have to grind like 60, 70, sometimes even 100 hours to get all the way to credits, and that has never been super attractive to me. Now I've done it from time to time, but even with a game like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, it took me 70 hours to mainline that game, and even by the end of it I was like, okay, let's get it over with.
A little bit of fatigue.
Yeah. So I guess to answer your question, like I am more attracted to the offerings that these quote unquote JRPGs are putting out now, right? Like Remake, it was very attracted to me. We're going on like 18 months of that being out, so I'm way past the release window. And this one specifically even attracts me as well. I feel like I need to go play 7 only because I didn't like grow up with it, and I don't hold it on a pedestal like a lot of people do. So I feel like I gotta like fill out my like gamer cred, if you will.
The backlog battler, Shelby. Come watch it on Thursdays. Look at that.
Nice.
Thank you. That's what. But what is I think a JRPG too, because like here's the thing. I think, is it turn-based combat? Not necessarily, because Octopath Traveler, it is turn-based, but it's different style because you can change the turn order, right?
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts is not turn-based. It's considered JRPG.
Mhm.
Secret of Mana, not turn-based, considered JRPG. Secret of Mana and Secret Evermore Trials of Mana, that's like the first time of using a outside, like the bumper buttons to do spell casting, right? That's the infancy of that. A JRPG to me is a story that is driven by a character, and obviously I think there's a big correlation between tropes from classic anime or just tropes of JRPGs. Like, I think when I think of JRPG personally, I think Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger. Right, those are the first two games that come into my mind if I were to explain them to somebody. Right, Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest 11, and now Octopath 2. I'm at 100 hours on Octopath 2, and I just don't want to finish it. It's one of those things like I don't want it to be over. I've enjoyed my time with it. And
Antari in the chat says, you said your feelings about it, but not exactly what it is. So touche. JRPG stands for Japanese role-playing game. And according to the chat bot that I just used to keep us on track, it is a subgenre of role-playing video game that originated in Japan. JRPGs typically feature turn-based combat, focus on story and characters, and high fantasy settings more often.
I think I said those things.
Often characterized as their anime-inspired art style, elaborately designed worlds, and memorable soundtracks. Boom.
And I didn't even Google that. I want that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But it's a genre I love. But I think it can change too, right? Like things change, like music changes. Like if you look at rock and roll now versus rock and roll 20 years ago, right? It's very different. So rap is a big one now, right? Mumble rap versus gangster rap versus like cool melody and the like a hip dip, rapper's delight.
I think it's difficult to define JRPG, especially right now, because that like style of game used to hold meaning back when everything wasn't all connected and intertwined to the internet, and there wasn't like 30 years of video game evolution. Like a Japanese role-playing game, like everything is a role-playing game to some extent right now. Like, there's not a title that comes out where you can't evolve or change your character in some way, shape, or form.
And this, I think, is a really key component. So before you define a Japanese RPG, you got to define what an RPG is, right? And so a role-playing game, generally, you're going to be playing roles. Now, any game, I mean, even Kratos is fulfilling a role, right?
I've seen the argument that God of War is more JRPG-esque than
IGN published that a couple of weeks ago, and they make compelling points. The reality, though, is that a role-playing game, you are playing a specific role. Typically, those roles are going to be tank, DPS, or healer, maybe melee or ranged, any sort of assortment of that. But this role-playing comes from your traditional role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and other kind of games like that. And so for me, it's not necessarily about the battle system, but it is about the roles and the choice that you have. Do I choose to be like this? And even if I'm locked into one, like Final Fantasy VI is a great example, the characters have static jobs. You can kind of give a little bit here and there, but Locke is going to be a thief. He's going to, and then based on his attributes, there are certain kind of classes of jobs that he should lean into versus others, that you can max him out all you want. But the problem that we're finding now is that, let's take Final Fantasy 16, for example. I personally, oh gosh, here we go. I would not consider this a role-playing game. I would consider it an action game. That's not a bad thing. I love action games. I love RPGs. I love JRPGs. Final Fantasy 16 does not offer the nimbleness and nuance of ability sets and job classes that would really allow you the autonomy of a role-playing game. And your other party members do not have jobs in the same way. You are playing one character, and even though you've got different abilities that you're throwing in there, it's all kind of built on that action sort of thing. So role-playing, when we talk about JRPG stories or these kind of like fantasy elements, that's great, but I'm not sure that it applies to an RPG or a role-playing game.
Right. Because I'm pretty sure Sakaguchi was very inspired by D&D.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's some story with that. The other story is, you guys know how Final Fantasy got its name, right?
I have no idea.
I think so.
Definitely not.
They got its name because Square was about to go bankrupt, and so they're like, all right, this is our last game. It's the Final Fantasy, and it was such a hit. It saved the company, right? And then Mega 64. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They have this really funny video. Obviously, I can't show it with sound, but it's one of my favorite internet videos. They actually got Sakaguchi to come and do it, and it's him talking about like I'm playing it in the clips here for those listening audio version, but he's like, I want to grow. I want to be a rapper. Like he's talking about because he just made Rad Racer. He wants to be like one of the Fat Boys. He keeps talking about them from the 80s, and he goes like, he's like, I'm almost done, and I can be a rapper. And he just keeps writing wild stuff, and it keeps hitting, right? And it's a really good skit that Mega 64 did, but it was really a Hail Mary for Square. It saved the company.
Yeah, and there's been so many interviews where he was talking about that decision, right? And he was like, for us, and maybe it's because of Rad Racer as well, they were really into this alliteration of titles. So it had to be an F, like 2 Fs, right? Something fantasy. So they thought fighting fantasy at first, because they're fighting and stuff, but that was already copyrighted. So they said Final Fantasy because it is, like you said, that kind of Hail Mary, and it ended up being a pillar for them. So
it literally saved that company. And I love stories like that where it's like, they're about to go under, or like Iwata's I'm gonna say his last name wrong. The Nintendo Iwata. Thank you. Iwata, like going in for like 2 weeks, and he programs Pokemon Gold so it can have both the maps. Like, oh yeah, let me come down and help you guys. Like it just like those random like great stories in gaming where this one person makes a change, or this was like a last hope.
So have you read Ask Iwata?
I asked for that for my birthday this year. My wife's like, what do you want? And she said I would love it. Okay.
It is so good. Like whether you are in business, just interested in games or whatever, it's so interesting. Could not put it down.
Is it like a philosophy of his, or is it a journal? So it's his like musings, right?
It's a series. I've got it right over here. I maybe just out of reach, but it is a series of compilations of conversations, articles that he was quoted in, and those close to him put it all into a book. And compiled it narratively from the beginning of his life to the end. So it's in his own words, but it was written and compiled after his death. So it was pretty rad.
Yeah, it sounds like worth going back and listening to or reading. It seems like a really good collection. Did it recently come out? I haven't heard of this yet.
A few years ago. I've got it right over here. Hang on one second.
It's I think it's a good session. And like he's saying, I don't think Final Fantasy 16 to me like really hits the mark of a JRPG. I like how clean that title is too. Wade, you muted yourself.
Oh wait, we can unmute him.
Can we?
Maybe we can't.
Yeah,
no.
We can.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, bud.
Oh,
he's plugging in.
Yeah. Oh, he's almost there. Almost back.
So I know someone's trying to open my door in here. Still muted.
We got a couple people in the chat. Linda the Gamer Girl. Hey, what up, everyone? Nice to see you, Linda. Thanks for hanging in. Dr. Phil is here. Professor's got a sick gaming space.
You're unmuted now. You're unmuted.
Yeah. Professor, you got a sick gaming space, man. You got
thanks
out here.
I love your pop-up box from that's the Cecil scene, right? Where
right back
looking at the mirror. Now is there a Mrs. Professor Noctis in your life, or are you?
There is not.
Okay. I was gonna say I would love to have a space like that, but my wife definitely poo-poos it. So no, this room's gonna look like this.
The rest of my home
looks like a really cool book, by the way. I know you went to grab it.
And then went muted. Sorry. But
you're okay.
Let me say, like, this book, absolutely amazing. Ask Iwata. I'll read the back. It says, on my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I'm a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer. So all of his articles and interviews that he's done that were compiled for this book, they really show his love for gaming first. And that's what I really, really loved. In addition to this book, though, I would put Reggie Fils-Aimé's book on your list as well. His book called I think it's breaking the game or something. Changing.
It just
the game,
came out like recently, right?
Maybe a year or two ago.
Okay,
Again,
okay.
it came out maybe a year after Ask Iwata, but it is
Okay.
phenomenal. I loved his book as well. So
I got a soft spot for old Reggie.
I like Reggie. Reggie was fun.
He's
I
so
want
good.
Bowser to be more fun. I don't have any problems with Bowser. He's got the perfect name to work.
He
with the company,
does. He does.
and he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of. It's just not his style. But he's been with the company forever.
I mean,
Yeah.
Nintendo who? They didn't release like the most talked about game of the year or anything. Like Nintendo's
Yeah.
really been messing up, it seems like.
Nintendo's having a really rough go. I don't think the movie did well. I don't know.
They're selling hardware 10 years into their cycle. Like, no,
Yeah.
they're having a horrible year.
It's rough.
It's hard out
we think
there.
of them. So
Actually, speaking of rough, okay, so Wade, I know you do CrossFit, right?
yeah.
Okay. I'm not making fun of you. Don't worry. I'm not, okay. Not this time. No.
I try not to like talk about the CrossFit because that's a stigma.
No.
Like,
hey, it's a good.
how do you know if somebody does CrossFit? Oh, they'll tell you.
They talk about it all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Like, no. I totally get it. It's like, I hate that. It's like, oh, people can't enjoy their hobbies. All right. I like working out, and like I've been doing a lot of kettlebell stuff, but I saw this video and I knew you appreciate it. This guy's using a Buster Sword and he's doing okay, what would you call this as a CrossFit workout? It's a Buster Sword that weighs, I think, 40 pounds.
What would I call it? Nonsense, but I would also say it's a very strong core workout.
Yeah,
more than anything.
It's just like doing a sledgehammer workout. I feel like where the dudes hit the tires. Maybe it's nonsense. I think it looks cool.
It looks cool, but I don't know if it's going to be a good workout. It looks cool though, and half of CrossFit is looking cool. So
half right.
Dude, okay, time out. If you listen to this audio podcast, there's a dude on a beach carrying a big old Final Fantasy sword and he's swinging it, okay?
Yeah. But he has points.
This was not a video on the internet, and you were just walking down the beach with your group of friends or whatever you're with, and you see this dude shaking his sword around his head.
I'd be like, dude, he's jacked, bro. Like, I'm like, where do I get that sword? And how much is it? Because that's got to be at least 60 pounds.
I'm curious how much it weighs. That's the real question I've got.
Because the first person I saw doing this is a guy, from Berserker, the manga anime Berserker, and how Guts has the giant sword. There's those, and they're 45 pounds, which is really heavy. So, like, imagine doing an elongated kettlebell workout where you have to, like, I would think that's so hard on your wrist.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's got to be. And, like,
also, if you make fun of him, he's gonna hit you with it, and he's gonna do Omni Slash, and it's game over, man. Like you're gonna die.
You're right. I want this guy to limit break. I mean, look at him.
I'm really good at fleeing, so L2, R2, I'm out of there. So great.
And the guy, his name's Game of Harmony. I'm giving him a shout out. Maybe we get him on the pod. I want to know more about this. He said,
I have
"Want to learn how to
questions.
swing a dumb heavy sword." Sunday, Santa Monica. Hell yeah! Sign me up.
Okay, so he's teaching classes on this in Santa Monica. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. I have a little bit more respect here. Okay, so because at first I was like,
series of
this is like a whole gym thing. Oh my gosh. Okay.
There's the one too. Like this isn't something I'm just like this dude's things are. He's training. He's teaching a workout class.
I take back my first comment. It's not nonsense. This is actually an actual workout thing. I thought it was just a cosplayer cosplaying, which
I take back nothing. You can see where he cracked the code. It was about 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, this is what I've been missing."
I'm gonna be a nerdy fitness influencer. Perfect.
Well, that's the way to do it. I like this one. This picture down here of him and I guess an apprentice, both holding swords.
Yeah.
So maybe he's teaching him. Oh, they're both doing it.
Yeah. See, this is the guy with the gut sword. Right?
Oh, so that's a gut sword from Berserker.
Yeah, Dragon Slayer. Okay. And I know that's all wood. I've been okay. Real story. Casey has been pricing these out and trying to figure out how
you know about it now. Okay. Okay, so you should have led with that a little bit because I was just like, well, what cosplay madness have you found? But this
came up in my algorithm randomly.
Randomly,
and I was like, well, curiosity's getting the best of me. How do I get one of these swords to do these workouts?
Why is that not in my algorithm? Like, have I not done enough in Final Fantasy and CrossFit, to achieve that?
I think there's a couple more things like kettlebell, just specifically kettlebell workouts.
Specifically kettlebell. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm trying to get that old man dad Russian strength. I just work out kettlebells these days.
Yeah.
But I figured you guys would appreciate that.
I do appreciate that. If I brought that to my gym, like,
you'd be the coolest guy at CrossFit easily.
Clearly,
dude, if you're just known for the real life video game weapons, there's worse things to be known about, I guess.
Oh, totally. Well, next month I'm doing my first cosplay, and I'm a little nervous about it. It's not a workout one. It's not that cool, but I mean,
you're doing it. Okay, what are you gonna be?
So there's a character in Final Fantasy 16 named Dion Lesage, and I posted a picture of him in like there was a banner of him at the LA event, right? And so I went to all the banners and I like posed as these characters.
Oh yeah, we spoke to that on your Twitter feed earlier.
Yeah, somebody saw him and said, "You look just like the guy that represents Bahamut," and I was like, "Really?" And so I kept like pointing it out or like looking at it, and people were like, "Yeah, you could pull that off." And so I said, if we get to 500 subscribers on my YouTube video, then I'll do it, thinking there's no way we're going to hit 500. Well, we hit 500. So now I'm a man of my word.
Yeah. There you go.
So I told the lady that cuts my hair, right? I was like, listen, so
I think you got to wear a wig.
I'm roped into this. And she said, you can do his hair, but we're going to need to grow it out a little bit. She even said, we may need to give you an extension or two. I was like,
nice.
I was like, those aren't permanent, are they? They're like, no. But she was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're with someone that goes, where's the One Piece workout? Phil in the chat. If you watch One Piece, Phil, it's 3 swords. And there's a very famous workout where Zoro has like a 10,000 pound weight on a sword.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think anybody can handle the One Piece workout.
Yeah.
But so okay, are you going to a con dressed as this? Or is it like you're just gonna be on stream as this cosplay? Where are you showing this off at?
It's gonna be a hopefully eventually at a con, but it will be a photo and video shoot to start with, which is going to be great. We've got some ruins, which sounds much more cryptic than they are, in the town that I live in, some like old Capitol ruins, and I can definitely make that work based on some angles.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited.
Get excited.
Headshots.
Me too.
New headshots coming soon.
Oh yeah. They're
by the way,
bring the smolder.
If you're not documenting that for your YouTube channel, highly recommend.
Yeah. I will. It's going to be like, I'm going to have a camera crew or something, like just film me in my, like, I'm the most reluctant cosplayer ever. Cause like, I mean, my first reaction to the Buster Sword workout was like, this is nonsense. Well, that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. Like for this other thing. So
I get it. I mean, but hey, people are making their own way doing the Buster Sword. Like more power to you.
I'm a man of my word, though, so I threw it out there, and like they responded. So here we are.
That's cool. That's really cool. Oh, it's cool.
Speaking of cool, and what Shelby disagreed with as cool, I want to talk about that gaming list really quick. So someone took all like game ratings and methodology, 80 historical best of all time lists published over the last 30 years, took them, put them in tier list, graded them on a curve. Like did the statistical thing. I think the thing that's really interesting is it says it takes 10,000 hours to beat all of these games.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
I don't know if he knows that part. Like, okay. So who's doing it? Challenge accepted. Who's going to take the 500? Not me.
Some of these games like
I wouldn't get past the second one. I would never beat Tetris. I would just
Tetris beats you. Yeah, there's no. Yeah.
I feel like you play one match of Tetris, and it's like, okay, I've got the gist of this game.
Yeah.
So
Breath of the Wild did not belong at the top of this list. End of story.
Tears of the Kingdom does instead.
Okay.
No. No.
What would you put at the top?
I don't know. Not that. That's for sure.
Okay.
Well, I have opinions with no answers with this guy. I think
when I complain about the combat, all I hear on YouTube is "get good."
I know.
Oh my god,
you're bad at games.
Also,
this is your critique on the combat. There should not be any one shots in Zelda. Get out of here. That is stupid.
We did a short, and it's got like a couple thousand views, and Shelby's complaining. I'm the first comment. I go, could it just be you're bad? Was the first thing I said.
You're the
And
troll on there.
Then he got piled on by me. I'm
You
friends like
started the avalanche.
yeah. I didn't know I would unleash the hounds
Oh
by
my
saying
gosh,
it. Like
that's
Shelby and I
amazing.
can rip on each other all the time.
I love
And so I want to apologize for bringing out the bullies. I felt so bad seeing that, but also like
Also, I'm well documented on this podcast of not liking Breath of the Wild. I think they fixed a lot of it in Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
I think they fixed a lot of it in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I just saw credits on Tears of the Kingdom, and the stuff they do in the back half of that game is pretty impressive.
Okay.
And the way that they force you to see the corners of that world in that process is, I think, something that Breath of the Wild was missing very, very apparently, especially in hindsight. So I appreciate that. I
think it's fair to say Breath of the Wild is way more barren when you go back to it compared to Tears of the Kingdom. Like
After
Tears of the Kingdom, you look, you're like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. And Breath of the Wild is really about slow exploration. It's a different experience. Like someone asked me, would you still recommend Breath of the Wild before Tears of the Kingdom? And I said, I don't know. I said I would recommend going back to Breath of the Wild. Is what my big takeaway was. Like, if you're gonna play one, just play Tears of the Kingdom. But if you want, if you love Zelda and you haven't played both, you'll be happy for the next 3 years playing those two games.
Yeah, for real.
Shadow of the Colossus, I like seeing that in 16. Final Fantasy 7 is the first one on the chart, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know how I feel about that either. Now, what is this? Is this the best of all time, or is this most influential, or
this is the
based on
top
the
500 games derived mathematically?
Best
so they
of all
took
time.
every best like top tier list for the last 30 years of like ranked games, Metacritic, all this stuff, and they did a list eligibility. Minimum data thresholds were factored into. Appearance and frequency were a factor. So this like is a real. I think out of the professor would definitely appreciate this because this is like a true like studied case. Right?
Actual research.
This feels like my game of the year roundup spreadsheets where I'm looking all over the web.
You mean your manifesto?
My manifesto. This feels like it done on the highest scale possible, the biggest scale possible, which is why like I think Breath of the Wild is at the top of this list because that was such a sleeper. No one saw it coming, and you're like, and everyone was like, yeah, this is getting credit here because no one saw it coming. I will say that like scrubbing through this, there are not a lot of FFs on this list.
No, I personally think Chrono Trigger should go above 7.
I would put Chrono Trigger probably top 10 at
10
least.
easily.
Yeah.
I thought you would be really happy about The Witcher on here, Shelby.
The Witcher is a masterpiece. Yeah. It deserves to be there. I think so. Yeah. So storytelling in that game was amazing.
This is a question that I actually have about The Witcher. So I recently posted something on Twitter about side quests, right? And I'm
I saw that
work on side quests and like figuring out like what makes them tick and stuff. What would you say sets Witcher side quests apart?
The variety and depth of the side quests. Like so often you'll go into a game and side quests, like you get it. You know what I mean? Like, I need to check every well off the list in Tears of the Kingdom. I know that is side content and it's literally there to like just check it off the list. And I think that happens a lot with games. Like here's the main line, here's all the good stuff. And this stuff is kind of off the beaten path, but you're gonna figure it out and it's not gonna be able to stand on its own as strongly. I think Witcher 3 was one of the first games that really gave you every side quest is different in some way, shape, or form, and they're all telling a specific story. So like when you walk up on a house and there's a demon in it, there's always like a few layers that make it a more complex integrated story than you would have expected in another game. And I think that was part of the reason it was like, wow, this feels like a lived-in world. Like it feels like you're actually exploring a world rather than just like checking things off the box.
Yeah, this has been a major discussion with Final Fantasy 16 and like the composition of the side quests, because the narratives of the side quests in 16 are pretty good. They range from pretty good to like extraordinarily good. The problem I think that people are running into is that there is not a depth and variety of the gameplay to accompany that. And I do think that The Witcher 3 does that really well, because I think they have more tools to do that. Whereas 16
did
does
you
not.
Play through Witcher 3?
To mainline, yes. I did a lot of side quests, but I mean, No, I had other things.
It was a huge game.
So I could not do it
no,
all.
no worries. That was one of those
Yeah.
games where I actually completed all the side quests. And
Oh
like
my gosh. And the
it
DLC
wasn't
and all that. Oh my goodness.
I didn't do the DLC. Like I
Okay.
played it at launch, enjoyed my time with it, and then they're like, yeah, it's DLC, it's really good. And I tried to go back to it. I'm just like, I got to move
Yeah.
on. Like I can't live in a game forever.
It's a masterclass.
It really is.
With the new I think they upgraded it to PS5 and next gen recently. Just like a free upgrade. I've been meaning to go back to it.
Right, it's 2-player too. They added a 2-player mode.
What?
To it. I saw.
Wait,
Yeah, they were
what
adding
game
a
is it?
2-player mode. I'm not for Witcher
How?
3. Hold on. I'm not making this up. I hope not. This
No.
just a fever dream?
This-
Oh, no.
One thing that I'll say before we leave The Witcher 3 is I think that I really fell into the hole where it's like, okay, I'm going after vampires. And in order to take down vampires, I need this oil for my sword. I need these herbs. I need to combine this enchantment to really like prep for a fight.
Yeah.
And I really like dove into that. And that's not something that I'll normally go into in a lot of these games. It's like, okay, whatever, just get the sword that works and go through it. And for some reason I was drawn to like prep for these different battles and it actually felt like it made sense.
Sorry.
That is really, really good.
New Witcher's going to be co-op. Sorry, that was the quick.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like
keep
it.
going. Sorry, Wait. What were you saying though?
No, I love that aspect of the Witcher 3, like being able to customize to make a battle easier or even doable. And I also love that it gives you the ingredients, but it's not like forcing you. Like first you have to go to this merchant and notice the thing above its head and stuff, but you have to kind of figure this out in The Witcher in a way that it doesn't have the hand holding. And I think that the hand holding and side quests makes them feel more like errands rather than actually doing them. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job with the investigative type zone you can go into where it's like, oh, this person was drugged into the woods and you actually have to look for a blood trail. It's not like, hey, dummy, over here. It's like, no, you actually got to like intuit what's happening.
Yeah, that is my biggest complaint with Final Fantasy 16 side quests. And like I love the narratives, I love them, but the gameplay, that's a big complaint for me.
I feel like MMOs ruin side quests because fetch quests, and you have to do fetch quests a lot when you grind in an MMO. And games like, let's just put it in fetch quests for everybody. Like, if I'm making a linear adventure, not linear, but if there's an overall story like Breath of the Wild or Final Fantasy 16, like 3 or 4 fetch quests makes sense, right? I don't want 10 or 15. Like when a quest is like, go talk to this person that's right next to this person, me as a player goes, that person can talk to him. The game's smart. They know what they're doing. They're
literally
not,
just yell, like raise your voice, talk to that person. Like, so you get mute Link to do it? No.
I would say Octopath actually has the best example of side quests because you have to do side quests to get to the final boss, right? To the true hidden boss.
Octopath 1
and 2. 2 takes the side. Octopath 1's big thing was that people didn't really go to is the side quest because like there's other options. There's this one side quest. This is a mild spoiler for Octopath. I won't spoil, but there's a person in this like really nice in city that says his family is royal descendant. Yeah. And if you find a history text, it shows that his ancestor was like a disgraced royal descendant, right? And he's like, I'm never going to talk about it again. But so that's one scenario how it plays out. Another scenario with that side quest is if you talk to a different person in this ghost town and bring that information, you find out that his ancestor was framed. Yeah. So you can either find that the truth or this lie, and he learns one, and he that's what he lives with, and that's how you play the story through, right? Yeah. There's one quest where this woman won't get over this guy who breaks her heart. You have 2 choices. One, you can like steal the pendant that the guy who broke her heart had, and she gets over it. Or 2, you go and get the guy to come with you to see her, and she finds out he's a scumbag, and she beats him up. Right?
Oh wow!
Yeah. And I went with the beat up version, and I think like multiple outcomes to a side quest is really good. Mass Effect. I think, and that was on that game. Mass Effect 2 is a master class game. Like, I love Matt. I love Mass Effect.
Divinity Original Sin's on here, number 125.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Shelby.
Dude, you should play it. I think it would run really well on whatever device you're going to play it on.
I'm actually, so it's a D&D game. And I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Okay.
Wade, and Shelby was really liking it, and I do the D&D stuff here. I've been playing for a long time, and
Whoa, Chrono Trigger is what number?
27.
Oh gosh,
this list is I mean,
I think WoW should be way higher too. right? I think that too, but it's
agree
going
with
based
that,
on
yeah.
averages. And then I like Super Mario Kart has aged incredibly poorly.
Mm.
It's not like it should just be Mario Kart 8, like the current iteration of it.
I
in
mean,
my
I
mind.
feel like because this is based by the numbers, and I'm guessing all the different gaming sites, this list feels like what's the best flavor of vanilla?
Fair.
Vanilla Bean, clearly.
Because I mean, think about it. Like people are like, yeah, I respect that game, so it
Yeah.
lands like all the lists.
Like
right? But
Tactics
no
is
one's, like,
137.
reading out.
Tactics needs to be in the top 100.
Mm.
Guitar Hero should be in the top 100. I'll say that because it was a phenomenon.
This should be a list for that we just go down and backlog battler and play everything on this list eventually.
Don't do this to me.
10,000 hours. So
Ultimate
yeah, I could
Online,
learn guitar
that would take-
and master that. In
you
that
could master it.
That's
I
right.
can learn a language, or I could play all these games and be mad. Like some
And
of these
be
games
mad.
I can look at. Like I have no desire to play Prince of Persia from 1989. I'm sure it's awesome, but like
Now, I played that. I was terrible at it, but I was also like 4 or 5.
yeah.
I would always pick the wrong potion. It drove me crazy. Yeah. Was there any way to figure out what potion to drink, or was that just always random?
I don't know. That was a PC game, wasn't it?
Oh boy, I don't even know the answer.
And then Sam and Max is one that I actually would play. That's one that I used to love the cartoon that was on Saturday mornings.
Oh, Sam and Max, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And you can click on, but yeah, this list is interesting. And Divinity of Sin, like Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out, and I'm actually kind of interested in that too because that's a big D&D project.
Yeah, and they're spending some ad dollars on that. I'm seeing that thing everywhere.
It's coming out earlier than they expected. You've been. It's one of those games that got like, games come out but they're not out. Like, hey, our game is not finished, but you can play most of it, and then we're gonna just release it. So pay for it now.
You're talking about Diablo 4 that was being released for a good 2 months. It felt like.
No, that's if you just paid early to get it early. Pay to win, I believe is the term.
I fully put in the Discord like, "Hey, happy launch day," and everyone's like, "No, that's not till next week." And I'm like, "What? Huh?"
Yeah, but like we had people in our Discord that are like, "Well, I've been playing it for like a month though. They're on the beta or."
I played the beta, yeah, and I'm excited to play 4 once I'm done with 16 and Tears of the Kingdom. Just never going to finish
I
these
know,
games.
dude. This year is a bloodbath for game of the year.
Oh, it's insane! It's insane. I've had so much fun with games this year, but I can't move on. So
no,
I wanted Octopath Traveler 2 day one, but I didn't have time.
I would definitely recommend going back to that.
I will.
Did you play the first one?
I loved the first one. I did Galdera. I want it. I love it.
Yeah,
all, so.
This takes the. It takes everything and Jason Schreier was a pretty vocal critic of it.
I read his review and I was like,
and now he's like this might be one of my favorite games of all time. I was like, Retribution.
So I'm waiting for a lull, but I don't think I'm going to get it this year. So
I would actually consider it like a go to bed game.
Okay.
You could do like an hour kind of because it's like Shelby did that with Three Houses, where it was his soap opera for like
soap
2
opera
months.
before bed. Nice.
It was. I think my next soap opera might be Persona 5. Any thoughts?
Have you ever played that?
No, I've never played a Persona.
Okay.
Someone in this
list, though.
Discord
That's the
has
one.
to.
You big ups to it.
I love Persona 5. I love it. It is charming. The characters are great. The music's really fun, and the story was just a blast, beginning to end.
I'm ready for it. Is it all voice acted?
Yeah.
Semi-voice
Well, a lot of it is voice acted.
Okay.
But then like some of the like side quest stuff is not. So.
Okay. I mean, that's okay because I'm playing through Breath of the Wild and there seems to be a lot of like written text there. Like that feels like there should be more voice acting in there, but I get it. It's not. But that's one thing I did really like about for Three Houses. You know what I mean? Like you turn it on and be like, okay, here's 20 minutes of dialogue. I'm just going to watch it while I wind down.
Well, that's Final Fantasy 16. I mean, you're going to get, I think it's 20 hours of cutscenes in the game. But you can beat the game in 30 hours, allegedly. Now, not the way I'm playing, but I hear some people have beaten it in 30 hours.
So you just got to get good.
That is
just
good. Yeah,
that's it. Get good. So.
I feel so bad about that. When I wrote that,
you don't feel bad about it. This is lip service, and I told you.
I do. Listen, you're my friend. Listen, I'll stick up for you right now. I'll cut the promo right now. Hey, internet, we need to have a chat. Shelby's my good friend, and I can make fun of him. Don't go in the comments and talk about how bad he is at video games. Or how horrible he is, and when he plays it wrong. Don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't tell him, hey, wear a rubber suit or get an electric potion. We don't tell him, learn how to play. That's not nice. We don't say you're bad at games, Shelby. We don't do that here.
I don't feel like that made it better. I feel like now people are going to pile on. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's like when your mom comes to the playground and says, "Y'all stop making fun of my kid," and then like she leaves. It's like it's worse than ever.
Yes, yes.
Oh, way to bring in your mom, tough guy. Yeah, for sure. No, I don't think the one-hit kills in Zelda are appreciated.
I'm going to be honest with you on that. I fought one of those Gleelocks. I tried to go fight the ice one, and he iced me.
I have not played the Gleeox yet.
Oh my god, it's so intimidating.
I fought one, and I was like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
I'll be back for you later.
I've been looking at things online. I'm like, okay, how do I what am I gonna do to beat this guy, or how am I gonna do this?
Well, clearly, I'm building a Gundam because that's
on
TikTok.
No, I saw. I'm like, I need laser cannons.
I need laser cannons. That is their weakness because Link cannot. He is not able to.
Right.
I like how you get in some of those areas and they're like, you just put a turret in here that seeks down at it. Like, what? Okay, sure.
Yeah, the game never ceases to surprise or amaze me. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah. To me, like we were mentioning this earlier, I loved Breath of the Wild. Absolute 10 out of 10 for me. Tears of the Kingdom is like a 20 out of 10 for me. Like it is so much more improved on things that I didn't realize needed improving. Yeah. But like I'm so much more invested in the story. And I'm a big story guy. Like, and I'm used to these Final Fantasy narratives, but I love what they've done with Tears.
Yeah, the added layer of the Zonite history is really cool build in too.
Yeah.
Really smart.
But then you add the building. My gosh. Like, I feel like a genius and an idiot simultaneously.
I keep breaking puzzles and I'm like, they're just going to let me do this? Like, I put a short on a couple nights ago. It didn't take fire. But essentially what I did is I was just like, I can just grab the chest and drop it on this platform. Yeah. Like, I'm totally going around the puzzle altogether. And like, go for it.
In the fire temple, there's like a way to get into something. And I was like, rocket shield. And I dropped down. I just look at things and I think they're like, break this thing. If you're smarter than doing the puzzle, do it. Yeah. It's like, okay.
The fact that we can do that. And it's like, I wonder if this will work. And it does. It's like,
yes.
Game
That's
over.
the beauty of the game. That's the beauty of that game. And so like with Final Fantasy 16, and as we go to like game what's the beauty of Final Fantasy 16? What is the thing that you kind of walk away going, being like, wow, this is really changing this genre?
I'll be honest with you. I've never heard voice acting like this. It is the most deeply immersive experience that I've had in the cutscenes. Let me say that. Because like I am playing an interactive movie in this. In addition to that, the battle system and the battle mechanics are that I would say is a thing of beauty, and the ability to swap out they're called icons. They're essentially like your summons. The ability to mix and match those to create your personal play style, even though it's all action, same role basically. But to me, those are the things of beauty with that. All that to say, it is beautiful in a different way than Tears of the Kingdom is, for example. So
I know it's a wild time for games, and so to end the evening, we always like to do like silly little games here.
Sure.
And the silly game we're going to be doing today is one. It used to be called Bad Guy, or Taylor Swift. And what I do is I'd read a quote, and you tell me if it's a bad guy in real life, a bad guy in a video game, or Taylor Swift lyric. And I was like, well, I'm going to run out of Taylor Swift lyrics sometimes. So what I've done today is I found some quotes, and I have 3 different people, and I'm going to read the quotes to you, and you're going to tell me who said the quote. So on this first one, I'm going to tell you the people, okay? And the first one is the people that possibly could have said this quote are FDR, Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or MLK.
Oh, right? Gosh.
And the quote is, out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Shelby,
MLK.
was it? Okay, going with MLK.
Or I don't know. I don't know
FDR
JoJo
or is
at
it
all.
Jotaro Kujo?
I mean, I could see it playing for FDR or MLK, and JoJo is just my random card. Like if I don't know, I'm throwing.
It's an anime. Is that an anime style quote? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
Hold on, let me try it out. Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Yeah, it works.
It does. I mean, it does.
Wade?
I would my first instinct was MLK. I don't know why, but it was my first instinct.
Final answers?
Yeah.
MLK?
Yeah, for sure.
MLK is correct. You guys did it. Good job. All right. The next one.
We know.
I'm just going to read the quote, and then I'm going to give you your choices. Okay. Cruel leaders are replaced only to have new leaders turn cruel. Is this My Chemical Romance, Che Guevara, or Kefka from Final Fantasy VI?
Wait, we have a new stack. Who is it? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
I said My Chemical Romance, Che Guevara, or Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. Spool. JoJo for show. Also JoJo. Surprise! These are all JoJo.
They're all
JoJo. If that be the one day, Sean.
Che? This is a Che quote.
I want to. I want to say Kefka, but I don't think it is. But I just like Kefka, so I'm going with Kefka.
Okay. I was hoping you guys would say My Chemical Romance, but it is Che.
Nice.
Okay. All right, Shelby's hands up on this one. No Googling. All right. I want your hands. Surrender Cobra. Like every guy that plays Georgia or Alabama in the fourth quarter, every fan is the Surrender Cobra's real. All right. This one I'm going to tell you. Oh, hold on. Okay. Sorry. The next quote. I'll get it going. I don't care if they respect me so long as they fear me. Was this Michael Jordan, Ursula, or Caligula? And I meant Ursula from Little Mermaid, just so we're clear. Also, third time JoJo. Could be an option.
Fair.
Secret JoJo.
I'm going with Caligula.
What was the first one on that list?
Michael Jordan.
I'll take Jordan. I don't think it's Ursula. I don't remember this in the movie. But
did you see the live action one?
Oh geez, no.
Oh gosh.
Because I did, and she did not say that. It is Caligula.
Yes.
All right. Last one. Okay. I'm gonna read the people.
And we're tied right now. Wade and I are tied, so this is the deal breaker.
This is it.
Hold on.
I feel like that one is Caligula. Victory.
Yes, that one. Actually, it's JoJo.
It's JoJo and Caligula. Woo!
It's Caligula quoting JoJo.
Yes. Correct. All right. The people are, for this quote, Daenerys Targaryen.
Oh gosh.
Anne Frank or Taylor Swift.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Wow. We just did it all. Okay.
I still see it in my head burning red.
What in the world?
So
what are our options?
Daenerys or Swift. Or JoJo times 4.
This is Daenerys, right? This is Game of Thrones quote, and right? I believe.
I'm going with crap. I'm going Taylor Swift. Why not?
It is T Swift. We know who the T Swift fan is there. Yeah.
No way.
But when you preface it with those things, it makes you think maybe
it does.
not, you know?
Did you switch the answer just to make our guest feel good? Is that what you did?
It's actually Anne Frank. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it is. It is Taylor Swift. That is who said it.
Dude, this has Targaryen written all over it. She's in the sand somewhere talking about the vision that she had about things burning red. Like that was it. That was it.
See,
Taylor Swift. What a range on that gal, huh? I mean,
what a range.
You can do no wrong.
And she keeps re-releasing the same albums, just subtly different. So
that's how she gets the money.
Chart toppers.
They're all still amazing.
Everyone. So I force myself to listen to the top 50 like every week because I don't want to get old. I refuse to get old. So I
Right.
force
You want to stay
myself to the
relevant?
top
I get
50.
it. I get it.
Yeah, this week the entire Taylor Swift album was up there, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, geez, Louise. Every
Yeah.
time she comes out with something, it
Every
trends for
time.
weeks.
Don't tell any Swift fan you're a John Mayer fan. Ooh. Yikes.
Uh-oh.
They get mad.
I made that mistake.
Mhm.
In one of my classes, I casually mentioned John Mayer, and I thought I was going to be lynched. Like
Yeah.
at that moment, I thought it was over.
I need to do some
Hey.
Googling. I didn't realize he
Yeah.
was a bad name.
Yeah,
because-
there's a lot. She's written some songs about him.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know them, but
He's got some really good music.
John Mayer,
his
slaps.
character,
John
but
Mayer
there's
is
some
great.
really good.
John Mayer is a
Yeah.
prolific songwriter himself
Yeah.
and guitarist. So
Yeah.
oh, listen, he's great. That's like the days of my high school and college, right there.
same.
But yeah, what was the song Taylor wrote? Not it wasn't about him. It was Jake Gyllenhaal. Was it All Too Well? Have you heard the 10-minute version of All Too Well?
No.
Oh,
Listen, it's pretty good.
I don't have patience for a 10-minute song. And if about
It's
to break
good.
up,
Like
is it
as
good?
much as I like give her crap, like that's a great version of that song.
dude, I'm sure it'd be like I would never listen to a 10-minute song, and then 7 minutes in, you're like, I got to hear the end.
All
like
Too
it's
Well.
gotta, yeah.
I was on a 90-minute drive and I listened to it 9 times.
Whoa.
Nice.
I can't. I just
Put it
realized
in your
Taylor Swift's
queue
like
9
third.
I was
times.
like,
It's
I
hard.
got to do it again. I got to do it again. It was so good.
He's 42. Okay, so it's not that big of a gap. Yeah, I always think of Taylor Swift because when I worked in broadcasting, I worked at a country radio station, and she was
Yeah.
like 16. So I was like, oh, I just still think of her as the teen girl that we had in the radio station in my head. Yeah, I refuse. She's a grown up now, but she makes good music and has good times, just like we did tonight. This was an awesome episode. Wade, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Yeah,
man.
it was, and a shout out to the chat too. I mean, I see I Am Thomas is a new chatter for us, so thanks for dropping by and hanging out. I also see the Hunter Pot Pie from the Discord has renewed his subs, so we appreciate the love, guys.
Yeah. And a big thanks to anybody that watches us and helps support us. We hit 500,000 views on YouTube. That was the goal we set for ourselves. Thanks. We're getting there. Awesome. We're doing it, Peter.
We're doing it.
We're doing things. But yeah, wait, I didn't mean to cut you off there at your outro, but really appreciate you being on, man. It's always nice to have you.
This was a blast. I was thinking about it. It really was like right at a year, like last year, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was at the turn, like January. I think it's been like a half year mark, or maybe before. I was trying to think about it too, and we had
January. I really thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was like back. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I was trying to think about it too. I think with COVID, everything is all blurred to me now. So it's like, how long has it been? No,
we had a year. Oh.
No, we'll go with that. I like it better. I think it's just a year or by year. You have an open ticket anytime.
Oh man, it's so fun.
Where can people find more of you?
Twitter is the main place. Prof Noctis over on Twitter. You can also find me now on YouTube, Prof Noctis. I've got a new video coming out next week, hopefully.
Give it a like.
So get over there and see that. I'll be answering some questions that we kind of talked about tonight a little bit. No, not to spoil anything, but but Twitter and basically if you're on social media, search for Prof Noctis and I'm probably there.
And take note, Ontari wants a definition of a JRPG.
Yeah. So what I can say is I am working on a what is an RPG video that's going to come out not next week. That's further down the line, but I'm going to actually bring in some help for that one.
Nice. Well, if there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. And if anybody listening to the audio version of this and later on the YouTube version, all the links to where you can find us and Professor is going to be in the description below.
That's right.
Shelby, if you take us out.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. We talk games. We talk nerds. We are nerds. We love nerds. If you enjoyed the episode, you want more, follow us on all the socials. It's in the attached description. Be a part of our community by joining the Discord. And please subscribe, like, or leave a review for whatever you are watching. That is a wrap for this week. Thank you much. We are out.
Play your games.